Gun violence is a very prevalent
yeah.
issue in this country that it gets ignored when it's ones and twos on the street, on the block, when nobody cares like about that. But when there's a major shooting in a school, then all of a sudden everybody cares again. It's an everyday problem that people need to address every day. And it's going to take a collective effort to do something about. And until people can put aside their bullshit allegiances to these parties that are made up fabrications of unities of society, which they are not. These people don't give a damn about you. Then we're not going to make any progress.
Before we continue, welcome to the Coffee Break, a world-renowned podcast talking about relationships, mental health, and everything in between.
Everything.
So with that being said, like this video down below, subscribe to the YouTube channel, ring the notification bell, social media, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and Twitter.
And we got a website, coffeebreakup.com. Check us out, and Patreon.
We're also on Patreon, so go ahead. Check us out on Patreon. See what's going on there. We got some goodies for you guys. We got full episodes. We got a bunch of other. What else we got? You can ask us some questions. You can. You also get a shout out. You get also some coupons and discounts on merch that we have not updated in forever, but we will eventually.
And absolutely. And if people message us, you get a lot of people message us. Hey, I need advice. I need this. Moving forward, please, if you want to reach us, Patreon is going to be the spot to go. You can connect to us. You can really get in touch with us because our Instagrams, the DMs are kind of full.
Surprisingly, we've grown very aggressively.
Every day people ask, and it's like this long paragraphs. And it's like we both have day jobs. It's hard to sit down and really engage on a profound level. So Patreon is going to make things a lot easier for you guys, for us, and for everybody else.
Yes. So and now back to our guests. So we have Jeremy. Jeremy. We went to high school with Jeremy. Military veteran. Beard of wisdom. He's always commenting and he's always sharing with us. Been one of our number one followers, supporters since day one. Always interacting, giving us engagement, giving us things to talk about, things to think about. So
healthy dialogue.
It's people like that earn a spot on our show. It does help that he is our boy, but at the same time, he's always been very consistent. He's always been interacting with us. So hey, you got your spot on the show, but not only because we know you, it's because of how I think valuable your mind is. Like every single time you talk to us, you're very sharp, you're eloquent when you speak, but you're also very knowledgeable about things and the way you kind of deliver the message. So I'm like, shit, like this would be an awesome guy to bring on. Right?
Yeah, for a long time. I think since the beginning when we started, Jeremy needs to be on. We just didn't have, it wasn't the right time. This felt like it was the right time and couldn't be better timing. So we're excited to have you on and honored, and you've supported us since the beginning. So
yeah, dude. Thank you, bro. Thank you.
Well, it's good to be on this side of the lens. It's a much different perspective from scrolling through my IG post on the toilet. But no, it's great to be here, guys. And like I was telling you guys earlier, like the growth, it's evident, from where you guys started to where you guys are. It's amazing, just to follow the journey, let alone be a part of it. So thank you. Grateful to be here today.
Thank you.
Yeah, we're on it. It's been a journey, 2 years and counting. And so a lot of work, a lot of effort. And I think we've made an impact. We've
the longest breakup in the history of breakup.
and to be continued. It's just, I was just thinking now that you sat down, I was like, man, like a lot of has changed since we've met. I've known you for since I came from Germany in Miami Springs my sophomore year, and I met you throughout football and stuff like that, and you've met him probably before that even. So
I forgot how probably just in a group of friends and stuff. Because did we play? I don't even know. We did sports together.
Well, we ran with the guys. I mean, you wrestled.
I did wrestle.
Yeah, so sports pretty much.
Yeah, those
similar.
Sports mutual friends. Yeah.
You knew everybody.
But that was the thing.
And you were always so nice.
Everyone knew Jeremy, and Jeremy knew everyone.
And nobody ever had anything negative to say to you. And even when I came and I didn't know anybody, but you always shook my hand. You were nice. You were kind. You were respectful.
Dude, always.
Yeah, man. I was gonna say, I remember Marvin when he first got to the school. Like I don't know if it was when he first got there. It must have been pretty new. But I remember. I think the first time we ever really had a real conversation, we were in the weight room, and I was talking, and I don't know if they build it in you guys earlier in Germany, but this guy was like, he looked like a whole bodybuilder.
Yeah.
Like mindset was freakish. Like I was like, man, like this guy is really here to gain some muscle. Like I'm just here to check a box. Like I
Marvin already made it. Like you go to the gym to get abs and muscles and stuff. It's like you're already there, bro.
Yeah,
you don't have to keep going.
But look, I mean, we were 14, 15 years old. I was just figuring out how to use a curl bar, and this guy was squatting heavy and stuff. I mean, it starts young, But
I started off a little bit younger than probably most. But yeah, that's how we met, and feel like
you always carried yourself very well too. I mean, it's hard being in that situation. You're the new kid, in a new country, a new situation. I could imagine, and you know, I was always raised to be an ally. You know, if you can help somebody out, if you can lend a hand, you should. You know, regardless of where they're from, what they're doing, and anything. And dude, you just look like a kid that was there to work hard and for some reason love the game of football. I don't imagine many Germans that you know grow up loving football, but you know the sport is growing, so it doesn't surprise me. But yeah, you know, just come on. I remember running into you that way. And I remember Chris wrestling. I remember you wrestling because I was real good friends with Barrera, who wrestled.
Yeah,
and he was kind of like one of the co-captain guys.
He was
seniors.
by that time. He was. I remember when I first met him. He was already kind of in the senior year.
Yeah,
but he would always come back, and then Joel was
and,
always there because of his brother.
Yeah, man.
So then,
and that's a guy who's got a lot of passion for wrestling, coaching, helping others. Like that's another guy who shirt off his back kind of guy.
All good guys, and yeah. So that's kind of. I think that's kind of how we all kind of
meshed.
Came.
It was small, man. Like our high school was big, but it was small. You know,
yeah.
There was, and I also feel like our high school wasn't like one of these typical maybe like sitcom high schools where there's cliques, like only these people talk to. Nah, everybody was cool with everybody. There wasn't really drama, beef, whatever. Like
that is kind of true.
It wasn't really like animosity or anything like that. Everybody was just cool. Like it wasn't really.
I had a good time in high school. Like the first year was rough. Junior year was better. Senior year was amazing.
You got there your sophomore year?
I got to my sophomore year. So I did 3 years there.
What?
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, but my sophomore year was rough. I didn't know anybody. And then junior year.
Did you know English?
Barely.
It was broken.
I had
a
very thick accent. I didn't really know.
Really?
I was very shy. I was more of an introvert.
Who are you, dude?
He was the guy who had the accent, and like when you said something he didn't understand, he would just laugh. I remember that.
He still does that.
Yeah, I still do that.
But I mean, I understand it because I went to middle school in Doral Academy where everybody spoke Spanish, and I barely spoke any Spanish.
Oh, I
so
went to
when
Academy too.
Yeah. So maybe we met there.
Maybe. Anyways, I'm sorry.
But you know, the whole thing is you don't really understand, but you want to be nice. You're smiling and laughing, and then they're like, "Oh, he understands me," and they go in the whole conversation. You're like,
"Yeah." So this guy's liking what I'm saying. Let me keep on, and then you're like, "No."
Yeah,
you're talking.
Stop talking, and then just gotta remove yourself. From
a lot of words. Hold on, La Puerta. Oh man, but yeah, no, good times, man. I think I tell people all the time the high school experience for me was great, and I think it's just what you make it. You know, like you go to school every day, think, "Oh, this sucks. I'm gonna be high school."
Yeah.
But you know, you make the most of it. I went to a lot of sporting events. I went to a lot of the trips.
You were very involved.
Yes, you were like a
very involved.
There you go. That's a very nice way of putting it.
That's the word. You weren't, but you were. Yeah, you were everywhere. You really were. So I think that was great.
You were what year did you graduate? I think you were a year ahead
2010.
of me. That's what it was.
Class of 10.
And then so when you graduated, did you join the military? Because you were in the military for how many years? 4 years?
Yeah. So I
joined right after high school?
I actually tried to join the Monday after our last football game when I was a senior. I went to the recruiter. I jumped on his little pull-up bar in the lobby of the high school.
Yeah, I
remember that guy.
You remember that?
Yeah, freaking Sergeant Lopez, dirtbag. Nah, he's a cool guy. I love that. Shout out Sergeant Lopez.
Dirtbag.
Yeah, dirtbag, but shout out. But no, I literally like first conversation was like boom, like I was ready to go. Went to MEPS, did the ASVAB, like I got did all the stuff, but I got in some trouble when I was younger, like I was 14 or 15 years old, and they were like, "Hey, like you have like this issue, like we have to see if you can get waivers, this and that." And I was a young senior, I was only 17, so I wasn't 18 yet. When you're 18, they don't care because you're a kid, but since you're still 17, they're like, "Hey, you can't do this right now." So that pumped the brakes on the dream for me. Rolled with the punches, enjoyed the rest of senior year. Actually started going to college for three semesters, yeah. So the fall, spring, and then in the summer. But by December, they were calling me back, and they were like, "Hey, you know, we have a new staff NCO in charge. You know, he wants to see you. Like, he saw your scores, saw your physical test results. Wanted you to come in and just shake his hand, say hello, like see what kind of guy you are, check your character, I guess, whatever." Went in there, you know, they're probably just trying to meet quota. I went in there, met the new guy in charge. He's a Staff Sergeant Pettyholm was his name, I think. Yeah, Staff Sergeant Pettyholm, and he was a good guy, man. At the time, I had like this blowout long hair thing going on. He immediately he called me Freakazoid. Like he was like this whole. I don't know if you remember that cartoon.
Yeah, I remember.
That's showing my age right there. But yeah, and just hit it off, and from there it was like, "Hey, man, you still want to be a Marine? Like, let's make this happen." And I wasn't sworn in. I was in the late entry program for 8 months, I think it was, and I shipped off to Parris Island for Marine Corps recruit training in August 2011. So the process, I guess, officially started that February 2011, and I was in until the summer of 2014. So a little bit over 3 years. 3 years.
3 years and
a little
change,
less than 4 years, I guess, would be the metric. But yeah, it was a time of, man, like just like people say, like, well, high school, some people have miserable experiences with high school, like, oh, you know, whatever, like, I had a great experience in high school. I feel like it's very similar with the military too. A lot of people is what you make it, you know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, like, we're very blessed in this country that nobody puts a gun to your head and tells you, hey, you got to go join the military right now. You know, I used to tell my guys, this is a voluntary service. You rose your hand to be here. When you go home on leave and you put your uniform on and go to the bar and get free drinks, I bet you're like, I'm a Marine, I'm about it.
Yeah.
So you gotta, you know, when the going's getting rough and the suck is real, like you gotta bite down on your mouthpiece and make it happen, you know?
Hey guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Before we continue, we just want to say thank you for supporting us, and we hope you enjoyed the show so far.
As you know, we're growing like crazy, so we want to give you guys more content, but we're very limited on what it is that we can put on social media, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Spotify, all that good stuff. We got to battle their algorithm. So we do want to move a lot of over our content to Patreon, where we have more control to really interact with you guys and give you guys what it is that you want. So moving forward, the audio full episodes will still be available on Spotify and iTunes, but we are going to be changing things up when it comes to the video to put it on Patreon. Now, stick around to the end of the episode where we'll talk a little bit more about Patreon. You can see what it is that we're doing, but we have full control to really interact with you guys and give you guys what it is that you want. So again, thank you guys so much for watching. That being said,
enjoy the show.
Peace.
But, you know, it was a, man, like, because growing from, I guess there's different dynamics here, because you went straight into college, if I'm not mistaken, right?
I went straight to college.
And then you went straight into working, right? Because I remember
you went to JUCO.
I went to
JUCO,
right?
right?
Because I remember we talked and you were in Texas,
I went
right?
to Texas, yeah.
So there's a couple of different like pathways there, you know, because like there's the 4-year, like I'm going straight into university. There's the JUCO route, like, hey, let me see what's right for me. Let me figure this out. And then there's the guy who's just like, all right, I'm getting lost on the way to college. I'm going to the Marine Corps. So it's like,
true.
So that's what that was.
Yeah.
You just didn't know?
I mean, no, because I wanted.
What was it?
Before I went to this, when I was young, my role model growing up was my grandfather. Like I don't really have a great relationship with my father, but my grandfather was like this titan of a man. He did 20 plus years in the Air Force, Korea and Vietnam veteran, like decorated. And then he retired and he went and worked for like Wink Television on the west coast of Florida. He was a weatherman. He was like Ron Burgundy vibes. No, he was a weatherman. Like it was just he was just this titan of a man to me. He's this tall guy, and you know I was a little kid. I spent summers with them. Me and my sister spent summers with our grandparents, and I just looked up to him. You know everything he did. He used to sail. He used to like do all these little things, and he was just a guy that I emulated. Like I would love. You know when I was young I didn't really understand it, but when I got older I was like, man, like that guy had it put together. Like that guy knew what structure was, what family was, what you had to do to put food on the table, make ends meet. I had a lot of respect for what he represented, who he was as a man, you know? And when I was getting out of high school, like I had this idea, like I wanted to do like broadcasting or something like that. Like I was thinking maybe sports broadcasting because I felt like I had like the right personality for it. I had a huge interest in it. But I always had that itch, like that kind of thought in the back of my head, like I want to be part of something bigger too, you know, like something, you know, I can always do that later. I want to, you know, do something bigger than that first, you know. And, you know, for a while, you know, I held on to the dream like a lot of people do to play football at the next level. When that became apparent that wasn't going to happen, I was like, hey, you know, I'm going to pursue the next goal. And I just remember those conversations that I had with my grandfather. And I never really wanted to be in the Air Force, but, you know, I just kind of weighed the options. And it became pretty clear to me at that point. I was like, I want to chase this dream. I want to go become a Marine. So, and, you know, a lot of people have that dream. Like a lot of people want to, like, oh man, I want to go do this. And they can't, you know, there's a lot of people that get disqualified right off rip for any number of reasons. You're flat footed. You can't go. You have any allergies. If you're allergic to peanut butter, you can't be a Marine. Imagine that, you know, like all these disqualifying factors. Crazy, yeah. So just the fact that you have the ability to go chase this dream, like, why don't you, you know, like, and it's something that'll eat at you if you don't do it. So I stayed up with it many nights. You know, I sat down at a table with my family at one point in time, and you know, I looked my mom in the face and she was like, are you sure this is what you want to do? And I was like, I'm telling you, like, this is what I'm going to do. And I made a promise to her, like, I promise I'll take care of school and all that stuff later. Like, this is what I want to do now. And if I don't do it right now, I'm never going to do it. So
damn,
that's what sparked that kind of path for me, at least. But it's a very forming time, you know what I mean? Just like those 4 years, like out of high school, even if you go to college, if you sit on the couch at home, if you go to the service, that's a very forming time for a young man, you know what I mean? Because, you know, men, that's probably like the peak years of your maturity. Women mature a little sooner. So like by the time you get to that age, you know, 20 to 24, 25, that's when you're really coming into your own. Women probably like 17 to 22, 23 maybe. Yeah. So, you know, you a lot of who you become, I think, stems from those experiences in those years.
I agree.
You know what I mean? Because think about some of the ways that you think about things that happen to you now. You can kind of trace them back to that point in your life. You know what I mean? And maybe you've learned from them, you've gained experience from them, and you've become, you've either grown from it or whatever you've chosen to do with those experiences. But I feel like they impact you in a lot of different ways. So
I like that you brought that up, because I think realizing it now, a big reason why I guess I wanted to start this was because I knew how difficult it was within my early mid 20s, where it's like, who am I? What am I doing?
Yeah.
What are my interests? What am I trying to figure out? Where am I going? What's my path? What's my purpose? Right. And I think eventually that's when, I was working at this bank at the time and fucking hated it. And then I remember talking to one of my boys. I'm like, dude, and then this is what we were talking about, you, the book, and, you mentioned all that stuff. And I'm like, man, what if I can, help more people? Because I wish I had someone, when I was in my early 20s, just trying to figure something out. I had nobody, I was just trying to learning as I went. I thought that was the way to learn.
Yeah.
And then now, obviously, as you grow up and you start realizing, that's why a lot of successful business people have mentors. You know, sure, you can figure it out yourself, but at the same time, if you have someone guiding you who already knows, you're going to get there faster, and probably with, kind of an edge over everyone who's just kind of, stumbling upon doing it. And I think that's a big reason why I wanted to start this. I'm hoping you had the same passion, because early 20s, I didn't know. I was like, man, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? Why did this happen? I felt like shit. I didn't know who to talk to. So it's like, you know what? I want to create this platform to kind of help those people that don't know what they're doing. And even if it's, whether it's relationships, if it's mental health, now that we're making a big focus on that, or just in life in general, but people have questions that they don't know where to go to. That's why I wanted to bring this up. That's why I wanted to do this. So that's why I want to bring this to help people, and to kind of create that platform that people can actually have that interaction and learn from stuff. So I'm actually really, really happy that you brought that up.
And that's powerful that you're asking yourself those kind of questions at that age, man. Especially when you're going through, you're just getting out of college, you're transitioning into the adult world, they call it.
I think those are just questions that you don't really know that you're asking, but you realize after that you're like, oh, that's what it was.
Yeah, they're on the back burner.
Yeah.
But eventually, something starts to smell weird. You're like, hold on.
You just had an answer. It's almost like you had an answer and you're like, well, I don't know what this means. So you just kind of kept going with it. And then you went back and like, that's the lesson that I was trying to learn.
Sure. Yeah.
And I guess that's kind of where I wanted to kind of bring that into play here.
Yeah. And
kind of help that. Yeah.
Kind of in the same fold, I think if you turn over to Marvin, I think your probably association with starting this platform is more based off your actual experience, like from the things that you've written about, the things that you've spoken about, expressed. I feel like there's a more almost intimate dynamic to why you wanted to get people sitting in front of you and with you guys. I feel like you guys have the dynamic where you can openly speak. And Chris, I feel like, correct me if I'm wrong here, but you seem to be the more pragmatic, kind of reasoning, so
yeah.
And Marvin comes in with the more heavy hand, the emotional, like, hey, like this is how it is, and you're like, all right, well, let's dissect this.
Yes.
And I feel like that's why the dynamic is so strong,
Chris is very rational. And I've called. I say he's pragmatic, and I've said this to you before.
So really, that's why I'm like,
Chris is pragmatic. There's a problem. Chris will be like, okay, this is a solution, and
or let's identify a solution. Like ignore how you feel, ignore what you're going through, ignore all that bullshit.
Right.
The problem is still going to be there.
Right.
What's the solution so we can eliminate that problem and we can be normal again? Because clearly that problem is causing so much more stress in your life.
I mean, we can only have so many conversations about problems. Eventually, we got to start talking about solutions.
Right. And that's my mindset. Now, obviously, I've learned to be more kind of more delicate. Because, sometimes you do have to just listen like instead of trying to.
You got to add a degree of tact.
Yeah. So I guess, I learned that side. But yeah, that's a good way. I like that.
Absolutely. So, I mean, we came together and I think it works well. We mesh well together. We have a good dynamics. We don't always agree, but I think that's the point, because if we were eye to eye on everything, then why are we both here?
Nobody would watch this show.
Exactly. So the fact that we can have healthy dialogues and at the end of the day, agree to disagree, and sometimes see we're on the same page, or if we're not, we understand where we each are coming from.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, 2 years later, I think it's been a great journey for the both of us, and like you guys were saying, I mean, early 20s, mid 20s, I think for men in particular, it could be very difficult, and forgive me, maybe you were saying earlier you didn't have the best relationship with your father, neither did I. So it was kind of so it's kind of it's a correlation.
There's three of us in the room, and all three of us say, it's a real thing, and not just here but around the world. Like a lot of young men grow up without that
strong
role model in the household. So not that mothers and sisters and brothers, aunts, uncles, grandfathers, grandmothers can't be that role model. But I think it's different when it's a paternal role model. Obviously, like there's, you know, like you grow up obviously and you see other people so close with their fathers and you're like, you know, you don't have that, you know what I mean? And sometimes the other fathers in there would take you in and they, you know, they see that and they step up, and man, hats off to those guys, you know what I mean? Because you don't have to do that. Like raising one kid, raising 2 kids on your own with your family is hard enough. And now you're letting in the neighborhood strays, you know, Lord knows what they're going to drag into your household. But yeah, shout out to those power dads out there, like holding it down.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think, you know, and I did reference that experience, but you know, it made me who I am. It's, you know, I'm very fortunate and blessed to have the kind of mother that I have. She's a rock. She's, man, like one of the strongest people I've ever met. You know, just, I'm not just saying that because she's my mother. She's unwavering, man. And it's very inspiring to both me, both my sisters. And, you know, it taught me to be a man at a young age. That's all it was. You know, I had to learn how to do things a little bit quicker than probably some of my peers did. You know, I get a lot of credit for being a good cook. Well, my mom's a vegetarian, so I had to start cooking all my own meals at like 11 years old if I wanted any meat. So, you know, and trust me, there was a lot of years where I wasn't so much of a good cook. There's a lot of burnt food going through, you know. But yeah, you know, you gotta sometimes, you know, it's like a diamond, you know what I mean? The pressure forms a diamond, you know, over many, like over time, over, you know, trial and error, you know, over the process. You just gotta, you know, when you're that age, you don't understand, but then you get to be men and you get to be in real world experiences and have conversations with other men, and you understand, you know what I mean? You're like, okay.
In hindsight, things kind of click, and you look back at life and like, man, this is really what happened. And you sometimes you say, hey, I wish I would have done this, wish I would have done that. But at the end of the day, I think we can all agree that we're proud of the men that we are today. Not perfect, but I think we're a lot better off than we were a couple years ago.
If you weren't you, who else would you be, right?
That is true.
You with all your flaws and all your failures. That's who you are, and that's who you should be proud of.
Yeah, 100%. So
he's like, "What's up, Chris? Why you bringing up my flaws?"
No. Trust me, there's more than a few.
No, it's 100% true, boys. I think that more people. I think there's a real issue, and this is honestly, I think it's most people. We tend to overvalue what we don't have and undervalue what we do have.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I feel like that's a very common theme, and I'm guilty of it myself at times. You know what I mean? I'm not throwing stones at anybody. I'm pointing in the mirror. You know what I mean? It's, you know, but to become aware of it, to have that awareness, to develop that emotional intelligence, and to catch yourself in those moments. I think that's part of growth, and that's, you know, where we should all strive to be, you know, growing every day, you know?
Yeah, you said awareness. I think it's more than just awareness, because and it's funny because Dr. Hasey said, because I said awareness, and I spoke to somebody, and he says awareness is not enough. You have to be able to put that into action. Yeah. And you said it afterwards. It's so important, because just being aware of you having an issue or having something that you're struggling with is not the full battle.
And that's where
to go.
Yeah. You have to be pragmatic, because once you can identify it, it's like, all right, well, this is causing this much like havoc in my life.
What do I need to do? Yeah.
Let's eliminate this fucker.
Exactly. Yeah.
We're gonna add the word pragmatism to the bottom of the definition for the viewers. Whenever Chris has a hot take, pragmatism.
I like that. But yeah, so I mean, I'm happy for us.
You wanted to talk to him more about didn't you want to get a little bit more into the military side of it?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, well, how do you think the military shaped you into the training briefly? Like, because I mean, the Marines is not, from what I hear, it's like one of the hardest, if not the
any Marine will
debatable.
tell you that, yeah, for sure.
That's true.
That's what I say. Is it the hardest? Is the Marines the hardest, objectively speaking, as you can?
So if I'm taking the Eagle Globe and Anchor out of my heart for a moment, it's on the most basic level. If you're going to join any service, you're going to be the most qualified, most trained if you go to Marine Corps basic training.
Okay.
If you go through, you know, infantry training in the Marine Corps on the most molecular level, it's going to be more advanced than any other infantry kind of level training you're going to get in any other service.
Why is that?
So each branch of service has a different mission. You know what I mean? So, you know, obviously you're not going to send in Navy guys to go kick in doors, you know, in a town and under insurgent control or something like that. But also, you know, you have the concept of the Marine Corps was a spearhead, like the force. You know, we travel with the Navy. We're a department of the Navy, so we're on ships ready to deploy at moment's notice. We can be anywhere in the world, you know, within a day or two, whenever, you know, any climb, any place is what we always say. So just having that mentality, you know, something might kick off on the other side of the world right now. Well, there's a fleet of, U.S. Navy vessels floating around out there with a literal can of whoop ass on board called the United States Marines. And they're ready, like, hey, look, like tomorrow we're going to be boots in country, putting warheads on foreheads. That's what we're going to do. So that's why you have to be at a certain level at the most, even guys that are, supply, even guys that are cooks, they all go through combat training. Every Marine is a rifleman. They all go through a very standard bare minimum. And if you can't meet the bare minimum, you can't be a Marine. That's just how it is. You can't swim, can't be a Marine. Guess what? We're on Navy ships. If you ain't amphibious, well, you can't be in an amphibious assault force, can you? Not knocking the other guys. Like I said, every branch has your own mission. When you get into the special forces aspects of it and like the very specialized training forces, there's other branches that have very highly trained beyond what we do. You know what I mean? I was an artillery guy. A guy that's an Army Ranger or a guy that's, a Delta Force guy or in CAG or something like that in the Army, that guy's way more trained than me, even though he's in the Army and I'm a Marine, right? Now, there are Marines that are in Special Forces as well, There's, all different kinds. I think they're called Marine Raiders now. You have, like back in the day, it was Force Recon. Like there's a Scout Sniper program, things like that. So there's a lot of different disciplines and stuff like that. But at the very basic level, if you put a guy straight out of basic training, straight out of his, combat school against, all four branches against each other, the guy that's probably going to outperform them all is going to be the Marine, just because he's spent more time. He's got more time on the range. He's got more time practicing certain skills. He's gone through warrior training. He's gone through, weapons training on multiple, on a big arsenal of weapons, things like that. So I think that's where that comes from. Also, we have, back in the day, at least when this whole thing started, like the whole macho thing, is the physical standards were much higher to get into the Marine Corps. You know what I mean? You might be a complete stud, but if your body isn't measured out a certain way, they'll call you fat and put you on, half rations and stuff like that, because they want everybody to look the same. They want you to get the high and tight. They want you to have the built physique. They want you to look sharp in your dress blues.
It's kind of like marketing.
Yeah, it is. But look, at the end of the day, any Marine will tell you it's professionalism. Like, I signed a contract that said I was going to abide by these standards, and every day I'm going to get up and strap my boots on and get to work. Like, we were getting up at 05 every morning and running up a mountain before doing anything. Like, that was just our section physical training. And that was just our section. If there was battery PT, if the battery was training too, we were doing it an hour earlier so we could do ours and then go do theirs. You know what I mean? That was just like how we ran our section. And then you have you got to go do accountability in front of the whole battery. Battery guns is going to come out, call your names, make sure everybody's accounted for, give you the plan of the day, turn it over to the section heads, and then you're gonna go to work. You have a 9 to 5 just like anybody else. I was an artillery guy. We had to go take care of the cannons. We have these huge howitzers that we're responsible for. We got to make sure everything's greased up, everything's clean, and make sure they're ready for combat. What good is a $10 million artillery piece if it's not in the fight, right? So that was our responsibility. And you get downtime between that. You'd be done whatever, and then what you do with your downtime. That's what separated certain Marines from others. Some guys would just go smoke and joke. Other guys would go, hey, grab a guy, be like, hey, teach me how to do this, teach me how to do that. Hey, let's go get another quick workout in. You notice in the base that I was on, I used to think it was funny, but every probably maybe at most 200 yards, there was a pull-up bar station somewhere. So if you got bored, you just go and bang out pull-ups, something like that. You know what I mean? There was always something to do to better yourself, and it was just
pull-ups for fun.
Yeah, man. I mean, you had to grow to love them if you were a Marine, because it was part of our physical standard test. But me, I think the first time I ever did them, I did 2, because the weight that they made.
How much was the most you could do?
I did 27 in a row. That was my peak. But at that time, I was also running 3 miles in under 18 minutes. So your physical standard, you have to run 3 miles, 18 minutes is a perfect score. So you're doing 6-minute miles. Then you have to do, I think it's 100 crunches in 120 seconds. That was the easy part. And then you do your pull-ups first, then your crunches, then your run. So yeah, it was tough, man.
That's tough.
But it's not something you couldn't do though. You trained all year for it. You only had to do, you trained all year, and you had one physical test all year.
How does if you failed it?
They would basically you get put on a program. Hey, look, if you don't get the minimum passing score was 235, the max score was 300. So you could do all the right things, you get 300. But if you slip on the run, maybe you run 20 minutes, but you did your.
You can still make up for it somewhere.
Yeah, you can make up with the other points, with the other. But you don't have to run it at 18 minutes. I think the minimum time at my age, because I was young when I was in, was like 27 minutes. So it's doable, but you don't want to be that dirtbag at the end of it, like barely passing. You know what I mean? You're never gonna get promoted because your score is whack compared to your peers. You're gonna look like a dirtbag. Your section's gonna haze you because you're running slow and you're making us all look bad.
Yeah.
So we pride. There was guys that had more pride in like their physical. That's what I was more into. A lot of guys were into banging weights around. I was more of like the go for a run, pull ups, push ups kind of guy. That's kind of more of my dynamic. Even like when 2020 in the quarantine, like I was working out at home every day. That's what I was doing.
You made like some huge gains. I remember that you had posted.
Oh yeah,
You
I remember that. Yeah,
I was like, who is this guy? This is King Leonidas. That guy from God of War. What's that? Have you ever seen him with the beard?
Kratos. I was thinking about doing that for Halloween.
Yeah,
I didn't quite get enough size on me. But yeah, no, that was just like a 3, 4, 5, however many months of it, a solid commitment and work, and just honestly, man, like. Consistency is going to be your greatest weapon.
Hey guys, thank you so much for watching this episode. If you enjoyed this content, please head over to Patreon where you'll be able to watch the full episode, get exclusive content, and watch all of our episodes at an earlier time.
Yeah, so Coffee Breakup started, being a short little break within your day, whether morning, afternoon, night, for you to get, your information, 30 minutes, nice and easy. But obviously, as we're expanding, more guests, more episodes, longer episodes, we want to make sure that we can put that in a little space for those who really want to enjoy those episodes. So head on over to Patreon where you can subscribe for a small little fee. It'll help us continue expanding our business and giving you that same content that you guys really want to follow us for. So again, thank you guys so much for everything. We couldn't have done it without you. But again, head on over to Patreon, check us out, see if it kind of tickles your fancy, and
we appreciate your support.
Yeah, we love you guys.
Thank you guys.
Later.
Ciao.